right, here goes another session today. About to do a call in India. And now after I finish this call in India, I'm going to be headed out to basically a networking event. So, excited to see what this networking event's out about. I throw Vaseline on my face. I don't use any hair care products. I just throw Vaseline in my face and I get to work.
Recording in progress.
All right, let me set a timer.
That's great to hear, Vimalji.
And I'm about to finish this call in 10 minutes.
More interesting.
Quincy is
All
there
right.
now.
How you guys doing? Everybody's doing good? Okay.
Yes. How are you?
I'm doing well. Let me ask you a question. What would you guys want me to talk about?
Okay.
I'm gonna give you guys the option.
I would say there are things that people want to learn from you. Starting with how to speak.
How to speak? Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Let's talk about how to speak. Okay, so I'm gonna set a timer. I'm gonna give you guys 10 minutes of how to speak. This is free game. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my timer in 3, 2, 1. So I appreciate everybody here being on the call. Obviously, this is a call out of the country, so it is definitely 100% a pleasure. If we're ever going to talk about how to speak, first of all, we must understand what speaking really is. See, speaking is people don't understand it. It's not a tool to be used. It's the way you see life. That's what speaking is. You're only seeing life through the perspective of the lens that you're able to articulate and communicate at. So if you're focusing on communicating and articulating yourself a little bit more effectively, it's so that people can understand the perspective of what you're speaking about, from where you're speaking about. Let me slow this down so it makes sense. The cat in the hat. That's an entire sentence. There's a cat in the hat. It creates a word picture. But if you just say a little bit quicker and you talk about things behind the context of it, and you go, the Cat in the Hat is the best-selling book for children's books. Now you're thinking of something completely different. You're no longer thinking about the Cat in the Hat. You're thinking about a children's book. So speaking is realistically you allowing word pictures to be put in someone else's head so that they can have the perspective of what you're speaking about. Now, why is this important? Because realistically, the reason why the world is so separate is because everybody can't communicate. The reason why the world is so separate and so divided is because everybody in this world cannot communicate. Only about less than 7% of this population actually knows how to effectively communicate. And it's because they work on their communication day and night. You got to ask yourself, when is the last time I worked on my communication? When is the last time I worked on my articulation? When is the last time I worked on learning new words? When is the last time I read a book? When is the last time I practiced speaking? See, I know speaking to people think that's practice. Realistically, it's not. That's just showing up. See, most people want to get 10x the results with 1% of practice. And understand this, you're not Allen Iverson. And if you don't know who that is, here's a video of Allen Iverson. And he was one of the most successful basketball players, but had a very short career due to not being able to actually articulate the conflict that he was going through in life. And the way you control your articulation is simple. It's so focused. You need to understand that, number one, articulating yourself clearly is so that you are making sure whoever you're speaking to, whether there's a language barrier or not, that you're using hand signals. And your hand signals can't be a lot. They have to be simple. They have to be in front of you. They have to be counting. They have to be moving. They have to be showing. They have to be pointing. They have to be flowing. Hand signals allows you to actually be able to communicate yourself effectively. Now imagine if I just sat like this and I just talked to you. Well, listen, I would love for you to be able to make $1,000,000 versus if I said this. Listen, I would love for you to be able to make $1,000,000. There's a big difference of your communication, even if you're in person or if you're online. Like right now, I'm talking to an entire crowd out there in India, coaching and teaching you guys on step number 1, which is your hand gestures. If people can see your hand gestures, they can see your passion. See, the people that move with their hands and know what to do with their hands and just moves like this, they're able to see the passion behind the words you're saying. That's what hand gestures are about. It's about the emotion. Now, number 2 is going to be your tonality. Tonality is pretty simple. If you just notice what I did even when I said the word tonality, tonality will allow you to move from a different range. The best singers have the best what? Tonality. This means they can rise, and they have a word for this. They have a word for this in singing, and I don't really know the word, but I'll find the word. But it's like when you could go from singing a very high pitch to singing a very low pitch, and then bring it back up and down at any single time, while also using a smooth transition. That's what makes the best singers. You don't understand. The best singers, the best rappers, the best musicians, it's their flow of moving the frequency up and down. That's the best communicator. So why don't you just work on moving your flow up and down? Like I just did it right there. And I'm also showing you step number 1. Moving your flow up and down, letting someone know how passionate you are, and then slowing it down so that they can focus on what you're actually saying. Step number 3. When you're actually speaking, make sure you talk about the things that you know about. And if you don't know it, make sure you ask people to think about if they know about it. The best thing you can do is question people's beliefs and communication. I love it. Communication is the window of the perception of the way we see life. It's the window of perception of the way we see life. That's what communication is. Jim Rohn went to the prison and he found a fascinating study, and he wasn't looking for it. And he says, it's so funny. We went to the prison looking for something else, only to find out that everybody had a communication problem inside this entire prison. And that's why they're not able to communicate, and that's why they only focus on utilizing their emotion. The people that get angry the fast, the people that get frustrated the fast, the people that usually do not know how to control their thoughts, they're bad at communicating. Why is that? Because they do not know how to decipher which thought is a more compelling way to express the emotions so that people understand what I'm going through. And am I able to communicate that to myself as well as communicating that to someone else? And most people have this fear. And that's step 4. Step 4 is, do you have a fear of communicating to other people, or do you have a fear knowing that you can't communicate to yourself? Those are 2 different fears. One fear is communicating to yourself because you feel that you're not smart enough based on the topic. Then just go learn about it or don't talk about it. The other one is fear of speaking to other people because you're afraid that they will find out that you're not as smart as you claim yourself to be. That's a different fear. And the way to get over both fears is to simply do something so simple. It's so funny. You know what? I'm going to give you something that I learned at the age of 2. Learn new words. It's as simple as saying dada, mama. It's as simple as that for you to go out there and say expialidocious, expialidocious. I don't even know the word. Whatever that word is. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Like, that word was a trend when it was put inside of a movie. That word was a trend when it was put inside of a movie, and so many people learned how to spell it. I'm pretty sure I can spell it right now, but I'm not even going to try to attempt. But it's a large word, but it was because the movie made people aware of a word they weren't aware of, increasing their articulation. There are so many things that you can learn how to articulate if you just simply practice on making sure that you're getting more clear with the people that you're next to. When you come to these calls, are you practicing? Like when I come and do training calls for people all around the world, and it's funny because as I'm talking to you, I'm recording for YouTube. And I don't just practice speaking to you guys so that I can be more efficient. I practice getting better at content. I practice getting better at speaking to the camera. I practice getting better at speaking to you here on this call. I practice every single time so that I can make sure that you get what I'm saying. How we doing on time? 54 seconds. So step number 6 is this simple thing. The best thing you can do is the next time you listen to someone speak, repeat every word they're saying. The next time you listen to an audio, listen to the audio and start to say what they say. I do it all the time. When I'm listening to audio, I go, the wise man said this, and I repeat what he's saying so that it's staying in my brain and staying on my tongue so that I can articulate it at any single time. That's why I have all this information in my head at a very young age, is because I listen a lot, I read a lot, and I speak a lot because I'm always practicing my communication. But I'm always researching and trying to and focusing on understanding on where it is that we're going and where it is that people are going so that I can articulate the best way to move them in the direction that I think is best for them. It's what I think is best for them, and that's 10 minutes. So you utilize those 6 steps. The 7th steps is going to be this. This is the last step for the bonus. Just a bonus step. The best way for you to communicate is for you to have a stage or a place for you to practice it. That's why I built a platform called the SMO Challenge. It is not a platform for me. It is not a company with my face. It has nothing to do with anything. It has everything to do with everything. Why? Because I grew up a kid that was dyslexic, ADHD, could barely communicate, could barely pronounce words, did not have a strong vocabulary, and I didn't start really getting good at speaking to people until the age of 21. Can you imagine that? Not being able to read words, not being able to read words backwards, barely understanding what the books say, not really understanding information, feeling left out, feeling stupid, feeling like my only strong focus was athleticism. Can you imagine that? When you believe that that's you, that's what I believed for myself. I never read any books until the age of 21, and there's so many people that do that. And then there's so many people right now that read books but do not put it into practice. So that was the 7 steps of how to articulate. The 7th step was basically make sure you go ahead and utilize a platform or a place or a room to practice, to get better, to network, to speak, to present, to get out of your comfort zone. I invite everybody here to join the Sell More Offers Challenge and to really go ahead and get access. Speak. We're launching India. We have an India stage being built right now virtually before I get out there in person. Obviously, if you're in the United States or if you're in different places, you can obviously go down below and see what's the closest stage near you. But we also have a lot of virtual stages, and those virtual stages will give you access to people all around the world. That's the point of me helping people get to a higher place of communication, and allowing them to do these 3 things, which is define, refine, and confine. And those 3 options all have something completely unique depending on what position you're in life, whether it's business, whether you're working. You got to understand, in order for you to get the best job, you have to communicate it to the person that's interviewing you. In order to get the best contract, you have to communicate how your problem actually solves everyone else's problem. In order to have the biggest business, you have to communicate to your employees why it's super important to get the work done. So every stage is completely different at your communication, but every communication is at the same stage of how you articulate it. Whatever stage you're at, you need to increase it, and you got to focus on not decreasing, because the more simple you make what you're saying, more simple to them, the simplicity of them understanding the context in their brain and why they shall hear the vision, see the vision, and run towards it, they're going to move in a place of speed. So we have an India call happening, I believe it's on Wednesday. That would be our first India call. So I invite you, if you're a speaker here on this call, I invite you to speak on that call. If you are from India and you want to get better at speaking, I invite you to speak on that call. Do me a big favor. Go ahead and you want, if you have a message, or maybe you're an entrepreneur, or maybe you just want to get better at articulating. And this is going to help you talk to a lot of people in the United States, outside of the United States. It's going to help you in so many different ways, because not only would you practice there, but we're going to give you video modules, and we're going to give you trainings and workshops like this. You're here on a workshop. I jumped on a workshop right now, and you're going to get all this access for you to get better and for you to improve, so that you can produce more, be more, and have more. So I want you to go ahead and just put a 1 in the chat if you want access to that, because we'll give you access to that, but you got to put a 1 in the chat. Okay. From there, I appreciate everybody here on this call. I appreciate you, Jet, and I appreciate you, Akash. I appreciate hearing and listening to Dr. Steve. What a pleasure for everything you guys are all doing around the world. And I look forward to what's happening around the world with you guys and our projects and where it is that we're going. And as again, the best way, like what Dr. Steve said, was super important. You must run towards what you feel like. You have to provide value in that marketplace, and you have to know why you're valuable, because there's people right now looking for you. The next stage is communicating and articulating what you're saying correctly. You can do your reps and you can get better there, and people will ask you, why are you so good at what you do? And then you can teach them, and you can resell the things that you put time in for you to learn. Remember that you can resell the things you put time in for you to learn. Okay, so just remember that. That'll get you to the next level. I appreciate everybody here. I'm going to jump off and hope everybody has a blessed Saturday, Sunday, and whatever time frame you're calling from. God bless everybody. Have a good one. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Quincy.
So that is India. I'm done with India call.